Hello, and welcome, my Sagittarian Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your Path of True Love read for July 2020, or timeless whenever you're catching this. I am your reader, Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, president of Drawing the Circle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, Virgo sun sign, and dealing with the humidity, the frizz. Please, the frizz, the frizz, the frizz. Please forgive me for the state of my hair. I know people think it looks great, but I'm a Virgo. And it's not the heat, it's the humidity, right? So speaking of that, my fire signs, you ready to dive in? My subscribers, thank you so much for following along and helping me, supporting me on my YouTube journey. I'm going to be doing some more live chats as we go through. It's just been a tricky week. That Pisces moon we just got out of. Oh, good God. Yes, doing this doing this on a Saturday, finishing up these last 4 Path of True Love readings. So looking forward to moving into the new energy now that the moon is in Aries, although waning moon, but whatever. If you are new to my channel, please do consider liking, subscribing, following along, and I even have a YouTube, a Facebook group, the Mark Angelo Lyons Mal for short Facebook group. Link should be in the description box below. So building a little bit of our community here if you would like to join up, easy enough to do. And of course, feel free to comment in the comment section if you feel like you need to or want to. This is a Path of True Love reading, a general Path of True Love reading. Please take what resonates, leave what does not. Check your other signs. That's why I'm doing Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. But the Path of True Love is a little bit different than a twin flame or a soulmate read. They involve twin flames and soulmates, but it's your spiritual path, your healing path, your warrior's journey, your healing journey, your hero's journey, whatever you want to call it, through your relationships, your soul contracts, and all that jazz, right? So we're going to be doing things a little bit different this time. We're going to be doing it through what I call an augmented Celtic cross spread. Celtic cross is really only 10 positions, but I'm using 24 cards. So that's the augmented part. You'll see what I mean as I go. We're going to start with Caroline Mace archetype card to represent the soul power being developed on the path of true love for you on the month July 2020 or timeless. This might be your archetype, the archetype of somebody that you're dealing with. In other words, they're going to help you grow in some way, shape, or form. Or it could be a situation that you find yourself in, and that's going to play itself out differently depending on who's watching this. Cool? Let's dive in. All you got to do is take a nice deep breath and keep breathing consciously, deliberately as you go. That'll keep you in the present moment, so you'll be able to really take in what resonates and let go of what doesn't. Cool? That's our prep. Let's do this. Breathe. Oh, here we go. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved. Please, I need one card, just one, in clarity, for the Sagittarian Collective, Sun, Moon, oh, you want me to do that? Rising, Venus signs on the path of true love. An archetype for the dominant, right? Soul power. The dominant archetype, the dominant soul power being developed, right? From lead to gold in alchemy, from shadow to light, embracing the shadow, bringing it to light. You know, from toxic to healing. What is that dominant soul power archetype for this Capricorn? Sorry, jump to sign, Sagittarian Collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. No, this is the one that's poking me in the hands. That all got very, very messy towards the end there. But the path of true love can get a little messy in July 2020 or timeless. And I saw what the card was, but it poked me in the hand. You're dealing with the slave archetype in yourself, in someone else, or in a situation. Now, you can be a slave to a corporation. You can be a slave to all sorts of things in its shadow. But I want you to get, this is a wild card family archetype. There are 9 different families of archetypes. Now, going into that right now, but the last one is called the wild card. Ones that don't really fit into the other categories. Although I will say this one has a particular divine family archetype flavor to it, though it is not categorized there. Every archetype is shadow and light. So this is what's being healed on the path of true love from shadow to light, from lead to gold. The shadow attribute, giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices, right? So it's very throat chakra, willpower, choices, decisions. So it's abdicating your will, abdicating your choice to an external authority. Different than the addict archetype, there's one of those in this deck as well. That's to an external substance. For example, not every addiction is substance-based, externally based in that way, but to an external authority, and that authority can be another person, it can be a belief system, it can be all sorts of different things. But catch the light attribute, because this is where the slave becomes the master. Surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust, and that is a process. That is not a once and done. When it's a once and done, we call that blind faith, and that's not what this card is about. The slave is about choices and decisions. So surrendering your power to choice, choice to the divine, whatever you call the divine. It's sort of I don't want to call it the ultimate, thy will be done, thy implying the divine, but certainly the path of true love has a lot to do with sometimes just saying, all right, whatever you want, I'll do. I give up, right? Give up, not give in, right? Okay, we know at least what you're dealing with. Again, this might not be your archetypal process, but let's have a look-see-duck-see with a Healing with the Angels Oracle, Doreen Virtue, just to see the angel who will be helping you along the way, right? Like kind of hovering behind you, waiting for you to ask, right? Can you help me? But since we're dealing with the slave archetype, it would be helpful to have a healing angel there. My angels. Breathe. One card in clarity, please, for the Sagittarian Collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs on the path of true love for July 2020 or timeless, dealing with this slave archetype in some way, shape, or form. Their own archetypal chemistry, someone else's on the path, or perhaps the entire situation, or it can be a conglomeration of any of those things, all of those things. What is the perfect healing angel for my Sages on the path of true love, July 2020, or timeless? Emerging. Now, the healing angel of emerging, you know, means that there's something in there that's on its way out, right? Or something that you have not seen yet that usually gradually appears. Emerging isn't appearance, right? It's something emerges. It's something is revealed little by little by little. This can be from within yourself, from within another, or perhaps you might not have realized that there was a slave archetype in place, and little by little, this is the words they're giving me, it dawns on you and you go, oh. Now, keep in mind, the path of true love is a spiritual, mystical thing. You're not supposed to know what happens. It's like an Agatha Christie novel and running to the end and seeing who done it and then reading the book. It's like nobody gets that. Not even the masters got that. Look, do you think if Jesus had known he was going to be crucified, he would have gone there? Right? Like as a teenager, if he had been shown that, he'd be like, carpentry's fine, thanks. Hi, Dad, teach me how to use a hammer. So now, do you think Gandhi knew he was going to get? I mean, on and on and on. You can, look, I'm doing it through men. Everybody, that's everybody. It's just part of the game here on planet Earth. So we all have to eventually surrender our will to the divine, but there might be something emerging here on the path of true love where you, somebody's doing that, or the situation is construed, you're giving me construed, choreographed, somehow those two words combined, don't know what that word is, where there will be, if you're wise about this, a surrender to the divine in some way, shape, or form. And that doesn't mean no action is taken. Sagittarian, sometimes it's like, nope, I got to do it. I got to follow this. This is what the divine wants me to do. I can feel it. And against all of my fears, I have to deal with this. Let's get some clarity on that. Daughters of the Moon Tarot will be the voices of my gods and my goddesses, my Hellenic Greek pantheons, but if you like, you could call it the divine masculine and the divine feminine in their totality, right? The Tao in their divine yin and divine yang aspects. 10 cards down. Let's do this. Breathe. My gods and goddesses, please, 10 cards, Celtic cross spread for this Sagittarian Collective, Sun, Moon, rising Venus signs on the path of true love for July 2020 or timeless, considering they are dealing with the slave archetype in some way, shape, or form, and with the angel of the healing angel of emerging, of the emergence angel, like maybe it's an emergency. Please give me the 10 cards necessary right in my hand as I pull them one at a time and place them face down in this Celtic cross spread. So, where is this Sagittarius on the path of true love, July 2020? What crosses them on the path? What is at the core of the path for them in present time? What is behind them on the path? What crowns them on this one? Crowns them on the path. What is before them? Nope. What is before them on the path? That's the one. What is the lesson on the path from the outside looking in? How does the world see this path? What is the highest destiny available on the hero's journey on the path of true love for Massages? And what is the most probable outcome considering the current trajectory of the timeline in this lifetime for the Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign on the path of true love for July 2020 or timeless? Deck drop. What we're going to do now is take the Chuck Spezzano Love Pack 4 suits: Problem, Luck, Healing, and Grace, and we're going to use these to clarify each card as we go. So just real quick, my Ascended Masters of the Path of True Love. Really, I should just call you guys the Ascended Masters of True Love. The Path of is a bit redundant. Please bless this deck, and let's do this. Please help me clarify for the Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs on the path, July 2020 or timeless. Let's do this. What is the card that covers you, representing you? Ace of Pentacles, new beginning, new start, new seed, new potential. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Something physical. Might be a gentle flirtation. Nothing here screaming sexual romantic yet. Remember, the path of true love is not all about sexual romantic relationships. You can absolutely heal something with a parent or a family member or a friend or a boss, and that can affect your romantic life. It's all holographic, right? It's all on the relationship bush. Ooh, horrible metaphor. So my masters, will you please clarify that? Withdrawal. So somebody is withdrawing, probably you, stepping back right now because there is an opportunity. Something that you kind of sense viscerally, intuitively, but more like that instinct. This might be more fight or flight. And you've chosen the flight for now, the withdraw, the pull back. Well, and I mean, that's understandable for where we are on planet Earth right now. Wear your mask, right? That it's like, okay, there's this really interesting potential. I can feel it in my body. I can feel I'm saying wealth, but I don't necessarily mean financial wealth. The depth of the earthiness of this. And it could be anything. Remember, every acorn has a potential oak tree within it, but not every acorn becomes an oak tree, right? But over its life, should it become an oak tree, it gives off billions of acorns. So that's what I mean by that sense of wealth. That's something that could really move on here. What's the situation? What crosses you on the path? Well, the Lover's card. So there is a decision here. And most likely with the Lover's card, second card down, this is romantic. This is a path of true love reading. Life-changing decision, though. Major Arcana, not a 2, right? Not like the 2 of Blades or the 2 of Swords or... Well, 2 of Blades, the 2 of Swords, the 2 of Wands, right? That sort of indecisive analytical process. This is the Lover's card, where your head and your heart, you kind of have to address that. Because your head might be saying yes, 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 and your heart no, 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 or vice versa. And your throat has to make that choice, right? And again, surrender my will to the divine. Not a bad way. Not a bad way to do that. At least thy will be. Just show me what you want me to do. The prayer show me isn't necessarily part of only the slave archetype, but that thing of, all right, the grace of humility. It's like the footprint of mastery. I saw Matt Kahn say that today. We're going to be using his deck, last card down, to say, okay, I don't know, you show me, right? It doesn't have to be this hard, painful thing, even with the slave archetype. So can you please clarify that for us, my masters? The Lover's card crosses them. What's this big decision about? Commitment. There you go. There you go. This is why I use several different decks, right? Makes my work easier. Didn't have to scan the entire collective to find that one out, right? So it's these two people at the beginning of a journey, right? And their little heart-shaped trees along the way, like Stations of the Cross. Did you ever have to do that as a kid? I did. Maybe a witch. Yeah, I love directions and steps and processes. Poof. But at the end, oh, it's upside down. There are no negative keys in this deck, but there's like a rainbow at the end, so maybe there's a gay pride gathering or something. But there's a decision, right? Life-changing decision. Darling, you've got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go, right? What's at the core? My favorite card in the deck, Clay Woman. So you're working on it. You're working on it on the inside. Three of Pentacles, molding the clay, but you're not ready to make the commitment to put the clay pot in the kiln, K-I-L-N, or the oven, so that it can bake and be hardened. So you're still playing with this in your guts, so to speak. Yeah, this could be a very, very strong sexual attraction or chemistry kind of thing. But you're like, I don't know if you're even willing, ready, because it feels like this is a life-changing thing. Like if you say, yes, I'm going to do this, even committing to taking the next step. It particularly with that potential ace there. I get the withdrawal. Ooh, I get the withdrawal part. It's like the arrow going back because you're the archer, right? That always comes with you guys. I mean, obviously, I don't do that with every sign. But you're like, it's like this is the Three of Pentacles holding it back, getting ready to launch. Let's see if there's a failure to launch. Can you please give us a clarity here? My Ascended Masters for Aruru, the Clay Woman. Three of Pentacles in the third position, too. Please, what you got going on there for them? Clarify. Aha. Manipulation. So you might have some wounds of manipulation going on here, that maybe you're manipulating it on the inside. Well, I mean, manipulation to me is a neutral word, right? You have a headache, you take an aspirin, you manipulated yourself, right? You see something horrible on TV, you say a prayer, you're manipulating. So manipulation is constant in this world, unless we're going to allow all things to be as they are, which means no more construction, right? No more technology. Of course not. It's all manipulation. But that's not really what this card is talking about. This is about someone or something pulling your strings. Is something pulling your strings? Are you seeing through a glass darkly? Is there a pattern in place inside of you, third position at the core? Part of the lesson, and we'll see what your seventh is here, about being manipulated. Do you want to be manipulated? Do you want to manipulate? Do you have wounds of manipulation? That's going to play itself out across the board, depending on who's watching this, but it would make sense that you would be withdrawing in terms of a commitment, particularly with that Lover's card. Yeah, this could be a life changer. Very Path of True Love, very Hero's Journey. Where you been? What's in your behind? Now, this card is called Jealousy, but it's the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups can absolutely be about fantasy and illusion and visualization and the things that we think will make us happy. But it is an emotional card. It is the element of water. So coming from that place, maybe there are some... Well, and also there may be some jealousy if there's somebody that you're kind of feeling this flirtation with who has the freedom to do things that you can't do. Or are not ready to do, or have been manipulated doing, and yet I feel, look, it wouldn't be a decision if there wasn't an emotional charge there, right? There's something attracting you to this person. Now, is this overtly romantic sexual? No. Even with the Lover's card and commitment, that it can be a commitment to love somebody unconditionally, but taking the journey of finding out where your boundaries are in that, right? If they've been manipulative, do you have a manipulative agenda? So let's see. Please clarify this Seven of Cups, because this might clarify that at least the form, if not the nature of this contract. There's a risk. Jealousy of risk. So this person that you might be attracted to might be very, very good at taking healing risks. The thing about jealousy is, I find when I allow the energy of jealousy to be in my energy field, loving what arises. Thank you, Matt Kahn. The book is behind me there somewhere. Really good book. Whatever arises, love that. It is that thing of that little child going, well, when's it my turn? How come they get to do that? That's not fair. Like, as soon as I hear, that's not fair, or feel that feeling, I'm like, oh, sweetheart, it's okay. I know it's not fair. What do you want? It's like, oh, I want to do that. I'm like, so let's do that. And they're like, right? It's like, of course it's a risk. Life is risk. Putting one foot out of bed in the morning as a risk. You could be stepping into anything. You don't know, right? Take some faith. Right? Unless you're just going to stare at the floor to make sure you're not stepping in something every morning when you're half asleep. No, so I get it. There might be some jealousy here. You might not even think of it as jealousy, but it might be more along that feeling of, well, how come they get to do that? Right? Like, so with that card of manipulation in there, because really, 2 out of 4 of your clarifiers are problem cards, but it's good to know what the problem is so that you can what? Take the journey and heal, right? So what's crowning? Sort of like what's coming in next? More immediate future is emotional release. Well, and 4 of Cups, which can be emotional discontentment, boredom, sorrow is what it says on this card, but it can just be emotional process, emotional release. 4s are usually numbers of rest, where you think of the 5 as more of the chaotic change of emotion. So there might even be, I wouldn't call it introspection, but processing some emotional baggage from the past directly involved with with manipulation. Now, you see, the thing is, manipulation and the clay woman, those 2 words go together, 3 of Pentacles, because she is manipulating the clay, but it's still in a mutable, changeable form. That's why this card of commitment is so interesting with the Lovers, a life-changing decision. So maybe if you can take the good cry on this one, might alleviate some of that and make this much better. In other words, you might be carrying some emotional stuff that has nothing to do with the current situation except thematically, right? Different person, different place, different time. You've grown since then. Maybe a similar fear, a similar wound, but hey, let's check. My Ascended Masters, would ya? What's crowning this Sagittarian Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign on the path of true love, July 2020, because we got the card of 4 of Cups there. Can you clarify? Second time this card has come up, just came up with the Scorpio card, read I did yesterday, the Erotic, a luck card. So there is some emotional feelings here, maybe even some loss of power about the erotic energy. I'm going to say that does change the tone of the entire reading, because now we are talking something a bit more sexual. It's the card of the erotic. So even if this isn't a commitment in terms of a long-term relationship, this could just be a sexual thing. But if there has been sexual manipulation, and what does sexual manipulation look like? Well, we do have the slave archetype here, and come on, let's be adults about this. My channel is not for kids, and none of my content is. I clicked the box that says that, right? Is there some wanting to use the word I'm looking for, submit, right? To be more submissive, like a slave, to abdicate your will, but out of fear of making your own choices to someone else sexually, or vice versa, someone wants to do that, to abdicate that to you. There's some, well, they're giving me the word emotional scar tissue there, and it has nothing to do with this present situation, except there's a thin thematic thread running through it that is giving you the opportunity to heal something, because this might really boil it down to it. This might be a commitment to healing your own sexuality and really allowing those feelings to be healed and embracing the shadow is just what we all need to do right now. Have you noticed? What's before you on the path? What's coming? Let me just say it. 5 of Cups, right? Emotions are coming up. Now, that doesn't mean you should run away from this. That the storm has been brewing for a long time is getting ready to emerge. The storm has been brewing for years for some of you, decades for others. Don't take it out on the person, is what I'm hearing. Don't take it out on the person who's triggering it. They don't know. Even if you told them some aspects of it, they don't know the whole story. They just don't. They just don't know the whole story. So be careful of projection of guilt, right? Your own anger at yourself. Heal that within yourself, but that can be done through this process as well. What clarifies this Five of Cups? Now, people really immediately give the fives a negative connotation. There is no such thing as a wholly positive or wholly negative tarot card or archetype, right? They're all a range of neutrality. And come on, how much of that is based on opinion, right? One man's pain is another man's pleasure. Said this line archetype. So my masters, please clarify this Five of Cups here. The storm which passes, which clears the air and nourishes the land. What is the clarity you got for that? Fear of inadequacy. See, I'm not going to get into the socio-sexual, psychological aspects of slave play. It's not going to happen. Not on YouTube. But when that submissive behavior is fed by a fear of inadequacy, it's coming up so that that voice can be loved and healed and dealt with, because you're not inadequate. You're a divine child. We all are. You're a soul that was chosen to incarnate to play a role, and you just forgot you're playing the role as everybody does for thousands of years, hundreds of lifetimes. You didn't do anything wrong. You're not bad. I get the withdrawal part, because there's this erotic energy that's moving all of this emotion and stuff through you. And what's going to be coming up is the fear of inadequacy. Now, I really highly recommend inner child work, because there's always going to be a child inside of us that's afraid of not being good enough. Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life 101, right? First chapters of the book. She says that the core fear of every human being is I'm not good enough, which is the fear of inadequacy. It's just not true. You are good enough. You're smart enough. And apparently, gosh darn it, people like you. At least somebody does. There's some kind of chemistry going on here. People think that their stuff is so dark. Yeah, become a spiritual counselor. And you get to hear people's stuff in confidentiality. And somebody says, oh, I just feel so dark and so dirty. You're like, that's all you got. I mean, you're not judging them, but, right? It's like perspective. Interesting cross. Let's see the staff. What's your lesson? Now, keep in mind, we got this manipulation here. I really want to see what this lesson is. Loyalty. Three of blades, three of flames, three of candles, three of wands. Not just waiting, loyalty. That your lesson is probably about your not whether you are loyal or disloyal. Not feeling that. What is your loyalty pecking order? For me, it's the gods first, then myself, then my friends and family, then work. In other words, I wake up in the morning with prayer. I don't even open my eyes, usually, unless there's a prayer coming out my mouth, or at least doing it silently. I surrender this day to you, you show me, use me, really is my prayer. I would rather think about being a slave to the gods, and I'm not. I'm a servant. Servants have choice. I'm a Virgo. But when you become a slave to the god, if that's how you play it, like all the masters essentially were, I mean, they all could have had normal lives, householders. No, they surrendered their entire lives to the divine. Do get that you are then slave to no man, right? Slave to the gods. The way I say it, it's like I am a slave, a servant to the gods and slave to no man, right? Yeah. So for this card of loyalty, it's your lesson, right? What, can you please clarify that, my masters, for them? Interesting card, laughter. The thing being that you might see your pecking order of loyalty, right? Your priority list, and just really see it from this lucky point of view. It's a luck card where you just laugh. It's like, whoa, I didn't even realize I was doing that. In other words, and this is like straight out of Course in Miracles, it says anger is never justified because you're doing this to yourself. Now that doesn't mean you're not going to feel angry. That doesn't mean, but really there's that healing laughter here, as well as it might be that you really can bring some laughter to this lesson and get that your loyalty is ultimately to love itself. Right? And that can bring some levity into the situation. It's like, oh, it's so much simpler than I thought it was, and yet simple need not imply easy. Interesting lesson. You know, and here's the thing with the card of manipulation. Are you using manipulation to, are you using laughter as a way to repress or a way to express? Are you using it as a way to wound or as a way to heal? Oh, look, I have, once people meet my family, they go, oh. Because we're all really smart, we're all fiercely independent, we're all entrepreneurs in one way, shape, or form, and we all have a sense of humor that is both vicious and vile at the same time, and incredibly funny, like potty humor with a PhD. It's really, really cool. So I like that. I like that what your lesson here has something to do with laughter and loyalty. That's really poetic. From the outside looking in, how does your path look? And Two of Blades, a lot of analysis, like a thinker. Like, you ever hear, it's like, this is a thinker. I got to think about this one. I got to ponder this one. But if you approach it as gathering data and information, there might be some missing pieces of the puzzle you might have overlooked. Perhaps that's in the past, but perhaps also it's about, particularly with another person, not anticipating their next move, but thinking about it. Gathering information. What's your point of view on this? Now, I'm not seeing any screaming communication cards here, but with that card of commitment there, you're really analyzing this from both points of view, but without finding out what they really think and feel about it, you're not getting the whole picture, is my sense. Can you please clarify this? My masters? Floating on air. This is another luck card. Now, the thing with that, this is an air card, the Two of Blades. To me, the Two of Blades is not indecision. The Two of Blades is analysis. To me, the Two of Wands can be indecision. But with floating on air, if you were to step out of this relationship and see it from the horizontal trajectory, like your friends or your family or the world, which is what the position is called usually, it's a different way of analyzing it if you see it from a place of floating on air. I think that the two of you might actually have a very transcendent thing going here, regardless of the physical form. Can you make a commitment to the divine first, then yourself? Keep your boundaries in place, and then the friend, the playmate in this. And then get to work. Then work! Wait, oh, where's my... Hey! Oh, yeah. Work, kitty girl, work. Oh, it's backwards. Work, kitty girl. Work. I love that floating on air card, right? I mean, it's so monochromatic. They're both wearing red. The Destiny. Where are you on the path of true love with all of this? The Strength card, baby. Be brave. Because you gotta be bad. You gotta be bold. You gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, hopefully. You gotta be tough. You gotta be stronger. Out of water. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know is love will save the day, right? We are looking at here a major arcana card. Now, just scanning through, you only have one other major arcana card. So in the Destiny position, that would be a main focal point. Emotional endurance. Love what rises, right? Love whatever rises, love that. Be brave. This commitment is probably something is scripted for you, a contract that you have with this person for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. But this is about you having not just the guts, but the heart, right? Courage comes from the French word, the cœur, for the heart. C-O-E-U-R? Yeah, C-O-U-R. Yeah. Look it up. Google it. My masters, please clarify this for the set. Oh, it's two cards. Please clarify this for the Sagittarians. The perfect card there. And this is the problem. You literally have the problem card in the suit of the problem. That it feels like everything here, including this rising of the fear of inadequacy with that Five of Cups, this is all a setup for you to really get that you are good enough and worthy of this journey and worthy of, I'm going to use the word, sexual exploration. If this is something that you are drawn to but feel weird about, if it is that slave thing, that's not going to be for everybody, obviously, but something here is emerging and it must be pretty terrifying. At least on a personal level, right? Maybe not like global, like the terror we've been going through. in all sorts of ways, shapes, and forms. But it's this card of the erotic with the Four of Cups there, that you may just like not be very, very happy with your erotic energy, your sex life in that way. And yet there's this call towards this commitment, this life-changing decision. Floating on air, though, as you're thinking about it, this is interesting, but the problem does have a solution here, and love is the answer, but that's not helping right at this moment. What's your most possible probable outcome? Capricorn. Now, Capricorn, this can represent a person, someone who probably has pretty clear boundaries. Now, again, if we're looking at bound, look at the word bound, the word boundary with the slave archetype. This can be a teacher. Now, maybe not a schoolroom teacher, but maybe someone who has been where you want to go, right? Sort of a guide. But do understand, Capricorn, because it's ruled by the planet Saturn, and Saturn's retrograde, blah, 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 it is about putting a circle around things, right? About clarifying your boundaries. Now, in whatever is emerging within you with this slave archetype, again, might not be you, might be somebody else, might be a situation where you are feeling enslaved or are afraid of being enslaved should you make a decision to commit here in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just for a night, that there's something here about your courage. Whatever it is that you are afraid of, that is a chain that binds you that you have all the time in the world to heal, mind you. That's your free will. But your outcome is that not only will you be able to learn from somebody, you will be able to teach others as a result of this. So not only are they sending you what you need, it's kind of around you already to learn what you need to grow step by step. Slow and steady wins the race. In other words, courage doesn't mean you have to race through it. It's not a race. Think mountain goats walking up a mountain, right? It's like one hoof at a time. They don't gallop up it, right? Slow and steady wins the race. Otherwise they fall off, right? And it's Musaka time. What clarifies that last card down, your that Capricornian, Saturnian energy? Please, my Ascended Masters, clarify that for, I hear ya, for the Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, please, for their outcome. Loss. So there's something that is lost here, but although this is seen as a problem card, maybe this is helping you either deal with issues of loss, wounds of loss. There are 4 ego wounds: abuse, neglect, codependence, and loss. Everybody has lost the other 3. Not everybody has in any combination or at all. But this could also mean that something is healed and something is released. That some issue of loss is either dealt with, or there is some burden that you are carrying, and Capricorn can certainly indicate a burden that is then let go of or lost along the way. So I'm going to leave that last card as a little neutral, because again, that can play itself out in so many different ways. If you were my private client, we would spend more time on that and get more vibes on it. Our Celtic cross completed. We're going to get you 2 last cards, 2 last little oracular insights. The next one we're going to do is from the Whispers of Love Oracle, the voices of the higher selves, the higher selves of all involved. Breathe. It feels so good. Please, the higher selves of all involved. 1 card in clarity for this Sagittarian collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign on the path of true love for July 2020 or timeless. What is your whisper of love, your insight, your inspiration to help them through this really, I'm not going to say problem-laden, but we're looking at withdrawal, manipulation, fear of inadequacy, problem, and loss. What say you? What is the guidance and grace that you have for them on the path of true love, July 2020 or timeless? Show simple acts of kindness. This is the slow and steady wins the race, I'll betcha. Show simple acts of kindness. A simple act of kindness can energize you and bring happiness to those around you, which means you do have choice here. You do have choice here. You know, you could, with this laughter, like give people little acts of kindness, right? These little, maybe some jokes, some levity, and this is why the difference between the slave and the servant, they sound so similar, but they're very, very, very different. That whatever it is that is emerging here in this situation, and again, I'm not going to say that the slave archetype is all you, but it's in your energy field on the path for some purpose, not a reason. And should you be the one who is confronted with the slave, not you, but someone coming at you that way, that's playing a slave sort of role, be kind. But that doesn't mean that you own them. Or maybe they want to abdicate to you. Do you know what I'm saying? That you can be kind. This is a whole other way of looking at this reading. And hopefully, because there are people who can become slaves in relationships, right? They stay because they don't have, it's not that there's something wrong with them, but they just don't have the infrastructure yet to make the choices necessary to empower themselves. Now, that's often when people, what they call it, hit bottom, where then they surrender, they let go and let God. I know I'm using very addictive 12-step language here, but I think that's appropriate for the slave archetype until it really gets that it is a divine child, particularly with this issue of fear of inadequacy that feels like it's going to come up through emotional storm. I'll pop up the larger picture and we'll look at all of this together. I just want to get your last card down from the Healing Mantra deck by KAHN. These mantras are very, very powerful, but they are deceptively powerful, meaning that you just don't say them once and they work. It's a mantra meant to be repeated. The word mantra means mind tool. It means to cover, to protect. Sanskrit does that. It's an interesting language. So work this mantra as a means of inviting in the healing of your soul, meaning the soul comes in to help heal and embrace the shadow, the ego, the unfinished business, the emotional baggage, etc. Breathe. Because last card down, my Ascended Masters of True Love, please, one card in clarity for this Sagittarian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs on the path of true love for July 2020 or timeless. What is their perfect healing mantra? Please, going forward. Unhooking the past. There is nothing to regret when I learn from my past. There's nothing to regret when I learn from my past. I think this is one of the first mantras I got when I bought this deck in December of last year. I'm going to read you from the book. Opened right to it. There is nothing to regret when I learn from my past. When you unhook the past, you are able to see crucial moments of growth from fresh perspectives. That might be part of that Four of Cups there. This allows you to see mistakes of your past as catalysts for your development, not as something you did wrong, which would lead to that Storm card with the fear of inadequacy. It is an opportunity to see how your previous actions could have been better aligned with your highest values. When you learn today the things you didn't know before, you are able to meet your current circumstances with renewed clarity, so the past can be unhooked instead of repeated. This mantra is ideal for overcoming self-criticism, releasing shame, and being more open-minded. That really kind of hits this one right on the head of the nail, on the nose. Pick your metaphor of accuracy. So I'm going to pop up the picture and we're going to look at this in, see what else comes now that all of the pieces of the puzzle on the table. See if I can find that thread running through it all, which I'm pretty sure I had a finger on there, so to speak. Take a nice deep breath. Say get centered. Okay. Magic clap. Because there's something here going on with the slave archetype. In its shadow, giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices. The light attribute, surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. Again, that's you, that's somebody else, that's an overall situation, any combo or all of those things together. And with the card that represents you being the Ace of Pentacles, right? With withdrawal, a little hard to say, that there's an opportunity given to you, but you seem to be pulling back. And I kind of get why. The situation itself, it does feel like a big commitment and one that would change your life. Now, like I said, this could be one opportunity, but it might be like one of those things like crossing the Rubicon. There's no going back. The Rubicon is a river in Italy that if you were going to conquer Rome, you had to cross the Rubicon. But once you did, there was no going back because they knew you were coming, essentially. So there is a commitment here. You've got both the Lover's card and the Commitment card, which is a healing suit in the Chuck Spezzano love pack. So I get the intensity of this situation, but at the core here, the Three of Pentacles, you are manipulating the clay, and part of that is about manipulation. Have you been manipulated in this way? Now, we weren't really sure at this point when this card hit what this was about, and I'm just going to jump ahead to that Four of Cups in the crowning position, your fifth position, with that sort of emotional movement, release of sorrow, dissatisfaction about the erotic. So there might be some sexual erotic manipulation that's going on inside of you, or is from the past. Remember, we've got this unhooking the past thing. Considering the third position can very much represent what's going on in the subconscious, that might be something pulling your strings that you're unaware of, making this commitment harder to make. A fear of doing that. Now, in the past here, we've got the Seven of Cups in this deck called Jealousy, but certainly can be about illusions and fantasies and all of that, but with the healing card of risk. So you definitely took a risk here in terms of perhaps wanting something that you were perhaps jealous of, and now that the potential is in your life, you're really having trouble making not just the choice but the decision. So I won't say it's be careful what you wish for. This was definitely scripted for you to heal, and I know that by the next two positions because you've got that Four of Cups, right? That card of sorrow. Now, again, we've got the card of loss here in your outcome. So there might have been a great loss associated with erotic energy in some way, shape, or form. A loss of innocence, a loss of a partner, a loss of respect, some kind of hemorrhage. Again, that could be you, that could be the others involved, but it's bringing you to a place in this sixth position, what's before you, the Five of Cups, the emotional storm crossed with fear of inadequacy. And remember, everybody's got that, but when you get that you are a soul and there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong at all. You haven't done anything wrong, but it's from your past. You're carrying this emotional baggage around your erotic energy, and this can be healed. That's what the Path of True Love is for, so that you can have what? Let's put it in terms of the soulmate reads that I do, the soulmate contracts, a happy, healthy, wealthy, romantic, sexual soulmate contract, satisfying. Well, this is part of the necessary deal, and this is perfectly choreographed and scripted for you to heal this stuff. Now, I don't see you interacting with anybody else in the immediate future. This feels like very much a solitary thing, but we're going to keep going here. Looking that your lesson here has something to do with loyalty and laughter. Like I said, there's something poetic about that, not just verbally. There's something visceral here, that your lesson of being able to really see what your lessons of loyalty have been about, and it will make you laugh if you can get the ridiculousness of the machinations that we go through because of sexual, socio-political, perhaps religio-sexual guilt and shame around sexuality, right? That it's ridiculous. From the soul's point of view, it's like you're not even a body. It's like having car guilt. You know, it's fine. You're not inadequate. This is all a journey. So if your loyalty can be reconfigured to being about God first, the spiritual path first, that includes you, self-esteem and healing and having nothing wrong wanting a happy, healthy sex life, right? From the outside looking in, though, the world may see this as really a brilliant opportunity to figure things out, to not just analyze, but to see it from a more, and this is a weird word to say, airborne place, with that floating on air. And maybe that's the thing. You might have feelings for this person that are way more romantic than just erotic. Because that card of floating on air really does speak more of that, again, poetic part of this. No reason you can't have both, but we'll get to that, Capricorn. That could be part of the boundaries here that you're setting. And certainly there is a problem here in the destiny. But look, a problem on the path of destiny is normal, because what hero's journey goes off without a hitch, right? There's always a dragon to slay, which, you know, be kind to dragons, except you are crunchy and taste good with ketchup, you know, but it's also about embracing the shadow and the things that we haven't dealt with before. So it's not that there's necessarily an incompatibility here. It's just that you might not be ready. And there's nothing wrong with not having the courage for this yet, because that's what the path of true love is all about. It is, after all, the path of true love, and as we said before, the French word for the heart is cœur, the root of the word courage, right? To courage, the bravery to follow the heart. But with that outcome card there of the Capricorn with loss, I'm just going to tell you, this is either about the slow and steady wins the race of healing issues of loss that have come as a result of past experiences, right? We'll get to that last card, but just to remember, there is nothing to regret when I learned from my past, and Capricorn is the teacher. So there can be a literal teacher here, whether it's someone who teaches you about your eroticism in a healthy way or whatever that is, but the wound of loss is going to be there throughout to help you really get that there can be no gain without loss, right? Loss is a reminder that space has been made for new gifts to be received. It's another mantra in the Healing Mantra deck because I actually work this deck on a personal process level. Keeping in mind, the slave archetype has the angel of emerging with it, right? So there's something emerging. There's something coming up from inside of you is kind of what I'm getting here, so that it can be cleared, healed, and learned from, making you stronger and more empowered. But that all you need to do for this month is show simple acts of kindness. A simple act of kindness can energize you and bring happiness to those around you. I would suggest that you don't need to be a slave to do that, but that's something that you can do even for yourself, to show yourself simple acts of kindness as you unhook from the past. Because there is nothing to regret when you learn from your past. You get it's all part of the soul's journey that you incarnated to take this time around, and that you've been other people in other places and have done other things in other lives. But in this life, you're really getting to an interesting place of figuring some things out, purging some emotions that are no longer suitable for where you are headed, sort of like trying to walk through a narrow doorway with a broomstick across the back of your neck. There's going to be some stuff lost along the way, but I think to make room for the new to come in, which might very well be something satisfying, something that floats on air, and something that does have a lovely creative sexual commitment aspect to it. So there you go, my Sagittarians. I mean, like, I've played around with Sagittarians, and they're really kind of up for anything. But controllable, I wouldn't say. So that's why the slave archetype is a little bit of a head scratcher. Might not be you, my Saggies, but if it is, look into it. Do the research. Look into yourself. Were you treated like a slave in a way that made you feel not good enough? Because that's something that absolutely can be worked out, and the path of true love is kind of all about that, because you're the divine, eternal child of the divine, just like me, just like everybody else at core. Cool. So, may the Sagittarian collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs be blessed with all that they need on the path of true love for July 2020 or timeless, that they may heal, that they may grow, that they may experience, that they may experiment, that they may take this journey for their well-being, for the well-being of whoever else is involved here, and for the well-being of all, in fulfillment of the divine plan. So mote it be. And so it is. Oh, I love you, my Saggies. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment below if you feel so moved. Otherwise, I'm wishing you the very best and the very blessed of the path of true love for July 2020, timeless, whenever you're watching this. Hail, farewell, and blessed, blessed be.